50 megabit per second WAN bandwidth, a telexplainer. The 50 megabit per second bandwidth level has become very popular lately because of business requirements for cloud services, remote data center access, big data files, e-commerce, high-resolution image transfer, and video content distribution. You should know that there are several options to acquire 50 megabit per second bandwidth connectivity. Let's take a look at the advantages and limitations of each. The classic telecom service at this level is DS3, also known as T3. It was developed by the telephone companies to transport large numbers of simultaneous calls between switching centers. DS3 actually runs at 45, not 50 megabits per second, but this is close enough for many applications. DS3 is a time-synchronous channel technology, not packet-based. Therefore, you need a DS3 interface module for your router. You may also acquire a managed router provided by your service provider to take care of this protocol conversion. DS3 is actually a hybrid fiber and copper technology. It is delivered to the curb over fiber optic cable and then connected to your equipment using coaxial cables for transmit and receive. The same fiber optic cables that pass your location can also deliver true fiber bandwidth at the OC3 level. In fact, DS3 likely rides as one signal on an OC3 carrier. If you want the entire OC3 service, it runs at 155 megabits per second, the equivalent of 3 DS3s plus overhead. Some carriers will install OC3, but then rate limit the bandwidth to 45 or 50 megabits per second. If you don't need more bandwidth than this, there are some cost savings involved. You may also have the option to upgrade to the full OC3 capability when you need it. The new competitor to OC3 is Carrier Ethernet. It is an extension of the Ethernet that runs on your company network, but scaled up for long-distance transmission. The interface with your equipment is easy. You simply plug into an Ethernet connector installed by the service provider. Carrier Ethernet can be provided over twisted pair copper telco wiring or fiber optic cable. While it's possible to transmit 50 megabits per second Ethernet over copper for limited distances, it's far more likely that you'll have this service delivered over fiber. Let's compare DS3, OC3, and Ethernet over fiber. All three will give you 45 to 50 megabits per second in dedicated symmetrical bandwidth. All three are highly reliable and come with service-level agreements. DS3 and OC3 have been around longer and may be easier to find. Carrier Ethernet is newer, but where available, it often has a significant cost advantage. It's also easier to scale Ethernet bandwidth up and down as you need to. Popular Ethernet bandwidths range from 10 megabits per second on up to 10 gigabits per second, with 50 and 100 megabits per second now commonly used in business. An alternative service is called D3 or DOCSIS 3 and is provided by cable companies. Yes, this is the same technology now used for residential cable broadband. The business version runs on the same cable, but has options like static IP addresses and higher priority customer service. The advantage of D3 is that you get a lot of bandwidth for the money. For half or less of what you'd pay for DS3 or Ethernet, you can get 50 megabits per second business cable broadband. However, this isn't the same type of bandwidth. The total bandwidth on the cable is shared among many users, so your line speed will constantly vary. It's also asymmetrical, meaning that your download speed may be 50 megabits per second, but your upload speed may be limited to 5 megabits per second or so. This isn't a problem for email or web access, but it may not work for other applications. Also, this service is provided on a best effort basis with no service level agreements. Availability of this service is limited to locations near the main cable run. Which type of bandwidth will work best for your business needs? For advice and fast quotes on 50 megabits per second WAN bandwidth, or other service from 10 megabits per second on up to 10 gigabits per second, please call toll-free 888-848-8749 or enter your inquiry at telexplainer.net.